So, welcome everybody. We are here, and I'm here with the lovely Heather, and we're here to chat about living your wealthy life now. And here's how. And if any questions, do type below in the comments. And if you're watching the replay, hashtag replay. If you're enjoying this, give us a heart, a love, and a like. So, Heather, great to meet you. And I was dying to bring you on here because we were talking together, and you were sharing a little bit of your story and what you've accomplished. And I'd love for you to share how you got there. So, Heather, just to give you a bit of background, has been studying personal finance for 35 years, mastered wealth strategies over the last 8 years with the top wealth strategist in the world. Heather started very humble beginnings, went won and lost in business, digged herself out of a debt of 217,000, is now living fully financially free, and she's going to share with you how she got there and some of the things you can implement to create your wealthy life. So Heather, great to have you here.
I'm so honored. Thank you so much for taking time today and getting a place to spread the word that everybody can be wealthy. It is available to all of us. You don't have to be a six-figure earner. You don't have to have a college education. I'm living proof of both of those things as I started my journey. And so I'm just so grateful to be here to share this fabulous topic with everybody.
Thank you for sharing that, because so many people, they have in their head, oh, well, I need to be, six figures to create wealth, or I need to be like a certain type of person. And that's not necessarily true. So Heather, would you mind starting with just sharing a little bit of your story? Like, what was life like and how did you get on this journey? Share a little bit about that.
Yeah, so kind of a typical story that probably a lot of people can relate to. I grew up pretty poor in and out of my childhood. And so I was very steadfast that that's not how I want to be. Typically, we either follow our lineage or we revolt against it, and we're complete opposites. So that's kind of the way that I went. And so I was a crazy kid that was studying money. I was going to financial conferences in high school, and I could not wait to turn 18 so I could open up an IRA. So definitely not your typical kid, because I was like bound and determined like that wasn't going to happen for, my future. And so I followed all the gurus of those days, Susie Orman, if any of you, her name is still kind of around, and of course, Dave Ramsey, and thinking that's the way to wealth. And so I followed all that, and it was the way to financial stability, but it wasn't changing my life, like how we think we're going to be rich or we're going to be wealthy. And so, and I wasn't protected from a lot of the downturns that happened because I'm in that, 50-ish years of life. So if you go back to when I was 18, I've seen a lot of economic turbulence, and I wasn't protected through a lot of that. So it's like I build stuff up and all of a sudden it would get torn down, and then I had to rebuild again. And it was just this crazy cycle. And I'm like, well, this doesn't feel very stable, and I'm never getting past this, you hit like this wall. And so I finally got really serious about, I'm going to be wealthy. Like this financial stability is great, but wealth is what I want.
I think that's one of the best things you shared, is when you make that kind of internal shift where you're like, this is non-negotiable. I'm
Yeah.
going to be wealthy and
Right.
I'm going to figure it out.
Yeah. Yeah.
Yeah.
You have to decide, right? First and foremost, I always say like your biggest block to wealth is actually right here.
Oh, always. It's
It starts,
always.
it's always, yeah, it's here. Like if you don't believe you can be wealthy, if you don't believe you deserve to be wealthy, if you think money is evil or terrible or selfish or any of the things, you've witnessed really bad things with money. So you think money brings a lot of trouble, those kind of things, you won't take the actions. And so I always say the first money tool is getting your brain on track and doing the work that takes, whether it's healing from money trauma, money blocks, changing your mindset around money. Those are all choices, right? We can either stay in where we're at and be okay with our circumstances, but that means stop complaining about them. Like if you don't want to do anything and you don't want to do the work, then be okay with where you're at. Otherwise, you have all the power to change your life like you do. I don't care who you are, how old you are, what your educational background is, what country you're from. You all have the opportunity to learn and empower yourself with knowledge to do your money differently. And it may take some of us longer than others. Like I'm that, people are like, oh my gosh, it's so amazing. Like it happens so fast for you. I'm like, oh yeah, I'm the 30-year overnight success story. Like I started at 18 with my IRA, right? That I only had $25 a month to put into that. And so it's not like I grew wealthy from that, but
I think that's important to say as well.
yeah,
Most people that we see, as successful, I remember, I think it was Jim Rohn said I was a 20-year overnight success. And I think
exactly.
that's important to say,
Very
most
important.
of us, it's like when I read your bio, I don't, anyone I know that's really successful has gone through their ups and downs, you
Right.
know.
That's life, right? You
And you
can't
said
avoid it.
something really powerful, which we're going to go into now. You said, I do my money differently. Let's talk about that.
Yes. So there was the changing point for my life when I decided I was going to be wealthy. Financially stable was great, but that wasn't what I was looking for. I can't change the world if I'm not wealthy. Changing the world, helping single moms, helping animals, helping children, all of that takes money because that's what our world runs on. So my superpower to be wealthy is so that I can make impact in the world, and I need money to do that. And so that was my mission.
I think that's a beautiful thing to say because so many people have this belief that it's unethical to like money, want money, blah, 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 right? And it holds
Right.
them back for creating the wealthy life. And it's people like us that have purpose and driven and want to make things better that get to influence it. Okay. So, and as you say, the world is run by money. So why not?
Right. Why
Why
not?
not?
Why not? Why not have as much impact for your family and your communities and your world, right? That's what money gets to do. I get to do that with my knowledge and power and my time, but that's limited, right? I only have 24 hours in a day, so I can only donate so much time. But the more money I have, the more I can donate, and that can be unlimited. It's really just the potential that I decide to have and how much work and effort I put into creating more. And that's a block.
Potential I
That can
decide
be a
to have.
block. Yeah, it can be a block, to, like you said, to get past and like believe money is good.
Yeah, and I love that, the potential I decide to have, and that's just fabulous. Now, we talked the other day about, and it's something I bang on about all the time, about how wealth is created from what you do with the money. So speak to that a little bit and explain that a bit more.
Right. So that's what I learned. So when my journey took a wealth turn, and I started working with some amazing, brilliant billionaires and multimillionaires. They don't handle their money anyway, similar to the way that we handle money, like at all. So there is this whole other way of organizing your money, using your money, getting it to create $1 to create $3, like reducing your taxes, like all of these things are there, right? My tax bill used to be $30,000 to $50,000 a year. Now I've implemented strategies that everybody can implement. You don't have to be wealthy, right? That have reduced my taxes to almost nothing. So now I have $30,000 to $50,000 a year. I mean, just imagine, everyone in the audience, all the money you paid to taxes. If you could even take half of that and put it towards your retirement, an emergency fund, maybe a family vacation or medical, something that you need medically, like how would that change your life if you just reduced your taxes? Like just understanding where to find the right people and who those people are that you should be looking for that can help you do that. That's a life changer. And so taxes are huge. Understanding inflation. So many people I talk to, they say, well, I don't like to take any risks, so I just keep my money in the bank. Well, the bank is literally guaranteeing you a loss. Like if your money is in your savings account, and I'm not saying we should not have an emergency savings. Absolutely. We all need to be personally responsible and financially stable as much as possible. But you can have it in different places and in different ways that are still making money for you and available liquidity, like if an emergency arises. Plus, as I tell my clients, we all generally have a credit card that we could use in a moment, and then we can move our money out of investments to go pay the credit card before it's due. So the more we can keep our money working for us, the more buying power and actual wealth building you're doing. So I always love that conversation that people say they're risk averse. And I'm like, actually, you are in the riskiest place because you are guaranteeing a loss. Like, I don't know where else you're guaranteeing a loss. Like in the stock market, you don't guarantee a loss. You have risk, but it's also risk that you could win. You're never going to win in your savings account. You're never, ever, I don't care if it's paying you 3, 4, 5, 6, 7%. Inflation is in and around our country, not what necessarily the government is measuring, but what the true inflation is of all your gas and food and rent and things like that is over 11%. So if you're not making over 11% with your money, you're losing, you're going backwards and you don't even know it. And so these are things to start learning, like how is money really working? How's inflation work? How are my taxes working? How can I get my dollars to do more things? I could go on and on and on. So I'm going to stop there.
Going. No, we love it. And I think they're really, really important um topics to bring up because we could be taught wealth creation, but then you really got to talk to the taxes, you really got to talk to the inflation, and you really got to, how are you utilizing the money that comes in? And we talked about this, me and you, we talked about the mortgage. So if you want to share a little bit about
Yes.
that
Yeah.
example.
So an example, again, this is just going back, like one of the most important things you need to understand how your money is actually working. So like we just gave the example of inflation versus our savings and what we think we're building up, but we're actually not. Same with understanding how your money might be working in your mortgage. So here in the United States, if it was a few years ago that you attained a mortgage, it was around 3%. And so I'll talk to new clients and they'll say, oh, we'll go over their numbers. Oh, my mortgage is 3%. Okay, let's test that theory. That's what we're led to believe, but let's get out your bill and your statement. And when they look at their bill and their statement, and we look at the portion that's going to principal, and then we look at the portion that's going to interest, typically, if it's 13 years or less that you've been in your home, you're paying over 50% interest on your mortgage. That's the reality, right? You all think it's 3%. And so you're making your financial decisions like, oh, I'm good because my mortgage is good. I don't need to look at any of that. And I'm building wealth, but you're not. You're like losing by paying this high interest and you don't even realize it. And most people don't even realize there's other types of mortgages. There's other safe mortgages that you can do that are simple interest and not amortized, where you're not paying all the interest up front. You can do a simple interest type of loan. And now you're paying, I don't care if your interest rate was 8% right now, like how they're high, 8% versus 52%. Do the math. You're all smart. You can see how that would be such a better option for you, right? So now your mortgage with a simple interest may be reduced, let's say $600 a month. Now you still have your mortgage, you still have your home, and now you have $600 a month that you can divert to creating wealth, retirement, financial security, and those types of things. So it's so important to start understanding it's not what you make, it's what you do with it, because that is what exponentially raises your wealth and protects your downside. I mean, there's so many people as well who think they say they're risk averse. They're just going to do their 401k with, their work, but they have no safety net. They have no volatility shield. They have no, like, you're the riskiest people out there because you have no plan B. You have no protective net. You don't have these things. So in your mind, in your heart, you think you're being super safe, but you're actually at the highest risk points, leaving that money just in your savings account, leaving that money, just having one bucket for your financial future. And a lot of people don't realize that one bucket is not diversified. This drives me crazy. I'm diversified. I'm in, the stock. Okay, it's all in the stock market or in bonds. Like
Yeah,
that's
that's a lot of
diversified. That's
yeah.
one bucket with
When
different
people
colored eggs.
when people come to me, sometimes they're like, like real estate, for example, your country, um, or stock market, and I don't like this because and I think you brought up something really good as well that I want to talk to first. Like really, really looking at the numbers. Sometimes we can gloss over that. Like really being able to understand it and read it and understand where that is leading us to. And I know you shared something else that I'd love you to bring up here as well. We were talking about being smart with your money. It's what you do with your money. And you were saying, instead of say you want a second home, instead of buying the house, rent it, and talk a little bit to that actually as well, because I think that's really smart too.
Yeah. So one of the things I love to do is, for my clients, what does your wealthy life look like? And for a lot of people, that would entail like a house at the beach or something like that. And let's do the numbers. How long will it take for us to get money earning to actually make those down payments and then have the reserve costs for all the repairs? And then you have the ongoing holding costs, right? So that could make that be 10 years down the road when we can look at, okay, what money do we have? Let's analyze how we're flowing your money. And now we have this extra money that we can put aside to maybe rent. So because maybe you wanted to go, we want the summers away or you want the winters away at a beach, but you're really only going to be there for 3 months. Do you really want all the responsibility and the overhead and the maintenance of a house that you're not going to always be living in? That would not be the best use of your money, right? That's not getting your money working for you. And people think it is, but it's really not, because then it's still a liability. It's not an asset if it's not earning for you. And so why not rent a spectacular home for 3 months every single year? Have that wealthy life now, not wait, right? I did that with a client. By the end of the year, she was in New York for the winter because that's where she wanted to spend Christmas and the fall. And she's like renting a house that's more spectacular than she could ever buy. And it would have taken us 10 years for her to have enough set aside for that extra home to actually make the down payment and all the things like that.
I thought you said something else very beautiful. I keep catching all these beautiful. Um, it's living your wealthy life now.
Yes, we don't have to wait. Yeah. We think it has to be this one way, right? And that's a block for us too.
People
Like
think it's
I buy a second house. Why not go rent the second house? And then you're done. And it's amazing.
because people think it's either or. Because people, when they hear about financial freedom and back to, the old advice about like, you know, Dave Ramsey or whatever, where it's about financial stability. It's that so people think they have to give up or restrict themselves while they live now to build the wealth and the financial freedom and have that kind of wait to have the freedom. No, it's about living the wealthy life now by getting resourceful about what you're doing with your money and really looking at what's going on there and how can I be utilizing it better to live now and secure my future.
Exactly. I think that is one of the biggest myths that are out there. And again, it's because for the average person, we don't investigate, right? I mean, I get it. We're exhausted. Life can feel very overwhelming, especially in these more stretchy financial times and jobs and kids and families. And we're exhausted. Social media, all of it, is taking from us. So it can, feel heavy to go learn something new. But it's that something new. If you will truly take the time to dive in, just give up a little bit of your Netflix time every week, just an hour where you're starting to learn about one principle at a time, even, or you want to move faster. You're like me and you decided I'm done. I'm ready for my wealthy life now. Like, then you go hire the people that get you further faster, right? That is the best money you will ever spend. And it's so interesting to me, we don't care about our car payment, right? Like when we want to go get a car, we want the car that we want, and we don't really, I mean, obviously we have some sort of price range that we have to be in, but we'll push that price range like 99%, to get the car that we really want. And yet we don't do that for our own financial future. Oh, I can't afford this. I can't afford that, right? I can't afford to hire a coach. I can't afford to save for retirement. When actually those are the things that are going to catapult you to the future that you want and the future that's going to hold you safe, right? So in America, I think our average retirement is like the average person doesn't actually have hardly anything for retirement. So what are you honestly going to do? I know you don't like to think about it, but honestly, how do you keep a roof over your head if you have illness, accident, or divorce, or any of these life things that happen to people every day? Like, what happens to you? Like, you're important, your safety, your well-being, your future is important. And so take that seriously, because the one thing we can't get back is this time to put our money in order and actually build that safety net first, and then financial stability, and then financial freedom. Like, what could be more important than making sure you're going to be safe and happy and well the rest of your life? It's the car is not worth the trade-off, because that's what we're doing. We're making decisions. We're trading off those fabulous vacations and those cars and those houses literally for our future. And we don't realize it. This is not something obviously people are like consciously making, but that is the hard truth of the choices we're making when we're not taking our money seriously.
I love it. I love it.
I know it's a little bit of hard truth, but
Bit
it's
of hard
true.
truth. You know what? I'm
That's
very
tough love. Tough love is because we love and care about you, and we want your future to be as amazing as you are.
I love it. Just to wrap it up, um, what's that kind of one thing you'd love to leave people with, like the takeaway from this whole conversation about wealth?
My favorite thing to get people to realize is that you can actually start building your wealthy life with the money you already have. So we're not saying go out and get a second job. We're not saying start a side hustle. We're not like, the answer isn't more money. And I think that is one of the biggest myths. And that's really something I talk early on with my clients about, is that it's what you do with the money you make. It's never about the money you make. I work with broke millionaires all the time. They literally so much money flowing in their life and flowing right back out every single month. And there's nothing captured for them, for their well-being and their stability. And so this myth that we need to make more, like when I make more, then I can afford to do that. No, you could do it right now. It's really just changing how you're flowing your money, getting your money to do multiple things for you, and starting that. And the sooner we do it, the faster it will build. And this is not a get rich quick. This is not an overnight success. Obviously, if you make over six figures, you can get there faster if your expenses have some breathing room in order to have money to get your money working for you. But also the key is, like, let's reflow the money you're already doing, like an example of the mortgage or things like that, where we open up opportunities. There's money leaks. All of us have money leaks all over the place. We catch some of those leaks, and now we have a whole bucket that can be going to be of service to us.
Yeah, I had a lady on the call today and she was talking about, I want to learn investing. I don't need money management help. And but it's
Yeah.
how you manage our money that frees up the money to create the wealth. Um, so
Yeah.
I love that. I think that's such an important message to get across. And like, it's true. Like, if you're only bringing in $2,000 per month, you can be doing wealth creation with it. And people don't realize that it's not about being on the income train. It's about getting smart with your money, knowing your money, and actively putting it to work.
Yes. And you
Like,
can start with little as $50. Like, there's a place for everybody to start. That's what I love, is like literally everybody has a place they can start.
yeah. And, as you said, I want to emphasize this as well. It's that gap between the income and expenses, whatever level. As you say, there's broke billionaires,
Yes.
100%, because it's flowing in, flowing out. And it's really about on the flow out, where's that going? And that's where the turnaround happens for people too. So thank you so much, Heather. This was better. I knew this was going to be amazing, but this is just fabulous. So thank you so much for sharing. Thank you for your time, and loved having you here. And I can't wait to read the comments and the questions everybody has for you.
Thank you. Thank you so much, everybody. I wish you all the best in your financial journey.